So how's everyone doing today? I want to welcome you back to my channel. This is a channel that I do all kinds of videos, anything inside and outside of our home. We've started creating a homestead, a little mini homestead. If you're not familiar with our channel, we do have chickens, gardens. We do other various projects around the house. We do some woodworking. I just did a laundry room makeover, and I can link that video down below. And so now I'm slowly going from room to room, remodeling. Well, I should say making over the different rooms. We're not busting out any walls or anything like that. So you can find us doing makeovers, cooking, grilling, things of that nature. Todd and I both have full-time jobs. So this is something that we're trying to get set up. So as we're leading into retirement, which might be 10 to 12 years possibly, we want to be as self-sustaining as possible. In today's video, I am super excited about what we're going to do today. I am going to attempt to create a slurry to inoculate the ground out in our woods in the backyard for morel mushrooms. I don't know how many of you have grown morel mushrooms. I understand it's very difficult to try to grow. I will go into more detail about where we plan on pouring the slurry to try to get it started. Now, I did a little bit of research with morels. I am starting with an item that I purchased on Amazon, which I'll pop that on the screen so you can see what I bought, and I'll also pop it in the link below. So as a disclaimer, I did try buying a kit once before. This was probably at least 10 years ago. And I don't think I didn't even research it. I just kind of sprinkled it on the ground. I didn't create any kind of a slurry or anything like that. And the more I research, I'm realizing for the morels to have a chance, the spores that you get for the morels to get a chance to actually inoculate the ground properly and take hold in order for it to grow, it's not just sprinkling stuff down. I'm researching that you have to create some kind of a slurry to give it a better chance. So the morels that I purchased, I got this in the mail. And when I first opened it, I actually forgot, or didn't realize, I actually forgot that I ordered them. And then when I got them in, I opened the package, and this is what came in the package. And I'm looking at who sent it to me, and I don't know. I mean, maybe my mind is in the gutter, but that looked like something else to me. Anyways, when I realized that it was the mushrooms, because there was a piece of paper that came with it with instructions, I obviously got super excited. Now I'm on the journey to try to grow morels in our woods. This video is surrounding this particular order that I got from Amazon. If I get a hold of actual morels, I can do another video on how I'm going to create the slurry using an actual morel mushroom. But this package is, my understanding, is sawdust with spores in it. So we'll see how successful it is. Now, unfortunately, we're probably not going to see anything this year. It's going to be at least next year. And they even said in here that it could be up to a couple of years before we see anything. So crossing fingers that this works. I'm journaling my journey for growing morels, and I'm going to go into what I'm doing to go ahead and get that started. Per the instructions, there's instructions on how to get things prepped and ready to go in the area that you plan on dispersing this slurry that we're getting ready to make. I'm calling it a slurry because it's going to be a liquid form. They advise to go ahead and boil up 2.5 gallons of water, which is what I'm currently doing on my stove. I am boiling the water. Now, in the instructions, it talks about using either distilled water or filtered water. I just use regular tap water, and I know part of the reason for that, based on all my research, is because of the chlorine that is in the water. Now, I don't know how many of you grow plants on the inside, or if you have animals. A regular practice that I do is I do pour water in pitchers. I have 2 pitchers going at any given time with water in it, because chlorine will naturally dissipate from water, giving it like 24 hours on the counter, for example. I did not use that water. I have animals. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. So that's what I give them water with. And I also have some indoor houseplants. That's what I water my indoor houseplants with. But, so I suspect that is the reason why they said use distilled or filtered water, just to give these spores a better chance to be able to thrive, you know, be able to grow and thrive and not kill it. I'm using regular tap water and I'm boiling it on the stove for 15 minutes at a rolling boil. And let me go ahead and show you where I'm at in the process. So as you can see, this is a rolling boil. I have the wooden spoon over to the top so it won't boil over. Oh, and that is my 15-minute timer. I thought I had gotten this started, but I didn't. So now I'm gonna start the timer with this one for 15 minutes. I'm going to put the wooden spoon over it so it will not boil over. So I have 15 minutes on the clock for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that one off. Got a little steamy there. So I'm gonna let this come to room temperature, and when this is done, that'll come to room temperature. Before I got this boiling, it did suggest to put in 2 tablespoons of molasses, so I kind of split it up over these two. I couldn't fit the whole 2.5 gallons in one pot. And a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And that was just to help prevent bacteria from growing. So I am going to continue with this process. I'm going to go find a 5-gallon bucket and make sure that is clean and sterilized before I put the room temperature water in it. And I will show you the next step at that point. This is the next day. I went ahead and I just left these setting on the stove. It is absolutely room temperature now, but the reason why it's the next day, because I was gonna run to the store and get a food grade bucket because I didn't have a container big enough to fit the 2.5 gallons. Then I realized, and Todd reminded me, that we had a bucket for making and home brewing beer that we haven't done yet. That might be in the near future. So now I have the bucket and I'm going to show you the next steps. So I am just going to carefully pour this molasses mixture in here, the water and molasses and salt. And then I'm going to take the packet of the inoculated mushroom spores in the sawdust, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it in and stir it in. Try to get every last item in there. I'm just going to stir this. And now it says to wait for 48 hours. So I'm going to just place the lid on it. And by the way, I did wash this with soap and water. So now we're gonna let it set for about 48 hours and then I will show you what's next. This is what the area looks like. Hopefully this will work and hopefully we will have morels by next year. So now that my bucket of solution has set for over 48 hours, or about 48 hours, I went ahead and started clearing an area next to this dead tree. And I am just going to, I'm going to continue raking a little bit more just to kind of make space. And I'm just going to basically take this solution and run it down, just kind of pour it down the side of the tree. The instructions do say to find an area that has less than 3 hours of sunlight, so it's got to be a shaded area. So we're going to see how this works. Oh, and any of you who have experience with the morels, and especially if you bought some online, like on Amazon or wherever, let me know if you are doing similar things or anything different. Let me know in the comments below. But let me go ahead and get this finished. Okay, so I raked and I just kind of pulled the leaves away from this rotting log. When I get done pouring this slurry down, I will go ahead and kind of rake the leaves back over it. And let's see how far this can go. And if you want to see, this is what it looks like. Okay, so now I'm just going to rake these leaves back over that area. I'll finish doing that, but now we wait. So it'll probably be at least a year. So if you want to stick around and see what the results are, you might have to wait a year or two according to the instructions. Anyways, I want to thank you for watching, and I appreciate you. Until next time.